What's up, everybody? It's been a while. I'm back. I've come to talk some football. We are 1.5 weeks away from week 1 in the NFL. I wanted to talk about our New York football Giants. The New York football Giants. A different Giants team than we saw a year ago. We can talk about some things. Today, Joe Shane goes out and gets another piece for the front seven. And Boschman out of Wake Forest, a guy in the draft that I was very high on and was jealous that the Bills got their hands on. And I guess it hasn't panned out there. I believe Joe Shane was involved in bringing him to Buffalo, and now he goes and brings him to New York. And I believe it's for a 2025 6th or 7th round draft pick. Once again, you're giving up a chocolate chip cookie for a player with very high potential. Hasn't worked out in one system. But we all know that Wink Martindale is one of the best defensive coaches in football. You know he's had a hands on getting these guys. Simmons, Boschman, a rotational, guys off the edge. Simmons could do a little bit of it all. But I believe that Simmons is going to be Wink's atomic weapon. A man who's going to blitz from every different place all year long. He's going to use him as a free blitzer. Sometimes he might drop back in coverage, be sneaky. Sometimes you'll ask him to cover a tight end or a running back. For the most part, I think you're going to see Simmons being blitzed from different sides, even up the middle, all year long. I think he's going to be a beast. I think Arizona's a clueless organization that had no clue what they were doing with him. They were dropping him back deep into safety coverage. You did not utilize what this guy can do. Can he cover? Perhaps. But to me, a man who's as aggressive and physical with the body that this guy Simmons has, you don't want this guy in coverage, man. You want this guy wrecking the game at the line of scrimmage. That's what I see this guy is. And I think Wink brought him here, or asked Joe Shane to go get him, to use him for that. And as I've spoken with the Big Blue crew, and I've told guys, I can't wait. I'm foaming at the mouth to see this guy line up, stand up outside of Kayvon Thibodeau on the same side. And what you're going to do. What you're going to do when the Giants pass rush is coming full speed at you. And we're going to have guys coming from all over the place. And make no mistake about it, man. When you got Dexter and Leo in the middle with a rotational guys, okay? Alshon Robinson, Nacho, and this kid that Joe Shane stole in the 7th round, as a lot of scouts are reporting, right? Jordan Riley, a kid who's supposed to emerge as what could be a top defensive tackle in the league in the future. And you might even see his impact this year. You got a very deep rotational defensive tackle team that ESPN and Pro Football ranked the top interior D-line in the NFL. And make no mistake about it, my man, it is. It is that and more. And when you got guys like that to keep your hands full in the middle, how the fuck are you guarding Aziz, Kayvon Thibodeau, and now you got a man like Simmons who's going to be coming from God knows where on any given play. And you have Okereke, a middle linebacker that's going to actually probably call the signals. And you don't know where he's coming from either. Is he coming up the middle? Is he dropping back? I'll promise you one thing. A Ms. Lock. You're not running the ball on this front seven this year. You're not running the ball this year. You could try all you want. You will not succeed. Definitely not consistently. I got news for you. The Giants' front seven might be the best in the NFL. And if it's not, it's top 3 or 4. And all the haters could laugh and chuckle. You're going to find out real fast. Real fast. And I'm going to make a prediction right now. 2 predictions. Number 1. Kayvon Thibodeau, my lion. The Mrs. Lion. Going into that draft when we drafted him. And believe me, I had eyes on this guy long before that draft. People will tell you that, man. Kayvon Thibodeau, a guy I love. I hold Kayvon personal. And my Kayvon shirt, I heard, is in the mail. Better be here before week 1. Let me tell you something. Kayvon Thibodeau this year will have 10 sacks. 10 plus. 10 sacks for Kayvon Thibodeau. That's right on the number. I'm predicting it. And if Aziz is healthy, he might come somewhere around that number as well. But I'm going to just talk about Kayvon, 10 sacks. And he's already shown he's a leader, and he will step it up even more this year as he has been challenged by the coaching staff. And that's why this coaching staff is special. They get it. They go right after one of the top players on the team and tell him, you're not doing enough. You have to take your game from here to here. Because you're playing for an organization that was led by number 92, Michael Strahan. Right? 72, Osio Manure, and 91, Justin Tuck. Countless great defensive tackles have come through this team. Right? To name one, Leonard Marshall, number 70. Wait a minute. You're playing for an organization that was once terrorized the league with number 56, the one and only GOAT, Lawrence Taylor. And now you're here, and you're next in line to take on that pedestal. And I believe Kayvon's got all the tools and all the leadership personality and anger and aggressiveness to be one of those guys up in that giant lord, that category of greats. And my other prediction, Leonard Williams will have a Pro Bowl football year for the New York Giants. Leonard Williams is going to have a great year. He was not healthy last year, and he still tried to give it his best, but you could tell that he was hampered. This year, he's fresh, he's healthy, he's fast, he's hungry, and he even looks like he shed a few pounds, so he's looking even faster and more athletic. The man's a beast, and he's tossing players that are bigger than him around like a sack of potatoes. This man on the inside next to Dexter, it's scary. I know, I ain't trying to be the quarterback staring at them. Leonard Williams is going to have a monster year. Because of the rotational defensive tackles and the edge rushers, I believe Leo has a career football year in his career for the New York Giants this year. I don't need to talk about Dexter because anyone who knows me knows I was probably one of the very few guys that threw up when fans were talking about trading him. That shit made me sick. Since sometimes it must have been a brain fart in the fan base because we were going through tough times, so I let it slide. But Dexter Lawrence, Dexter Lawrence deserves every damn penny of the $100 million the Giants just gave him. And let's talk about that for a second. Joe Schoen, my man. Let me raise a cup to Joe Schoen and Dabble. Throw the other coaches in there. Wink is great too. But Joe Schoen and Dabble. I wanted the regime from Buffalo weeks before we had anyone, and we knew that Joe Judge was going to be gone. Gettleman was walking away, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not getting into that. I called for the Buffalo guys. We got the Buffalo guys. A lot of us probably wanted them. Guess what? None of that matters. You know what matters? Joe Schoen is proving to be one of the most sophisticated Snakes. And that's what you call a great GM in the NFL, a snake. Because a snake is so brilliant. They know where to look from hidden places and when to attack. And they attack you at your most vulnerable moment when they know they can get the best of you. And this man goes out and gets players and gives away nothing for them. 7th round cookie. Are we serious? For Simmons? You watch. And Simmons said it himself. We'll find out this year if I'm worth that 7th round pick. You know he's got a chip on his shoulder. You know he did not like being in Arizona. And even more so, he was disrespected by being traded for garbage, a 7th round garbage pick. This guy Shane's building a roster. Even more importantly, very important, something we haven't had, which helps teams win championships. He's building depth, a roster behind the starting roster. Because to win championships in this league, you gotta have a rotation. Starters don't make it all year. You gotta have guys that can come in certain weeks and fill in for injuries and play almost as well. Step their game up to the level, to the emotion of that game. You gotta have 2 backs. We now have that. I believe Gray is an excellent second back that's gonna come in and give Barkley rest. You don't have to overload Barkley and put the entire offense on him this year, because what's really important is that you have a fresh, healthy Barkley come week 15, 16, 17 playoffs. You don't want to wear him out at midseason like we did last year. When you got 2 backs, and we've seen it in our history, 1990, Otis Anderson, Rodney Hampton, right? 2008, 7 and 8, you had the 3-headed monster with Jacobs, Bradshaw, and Ward. In 11, you had Jacobs and Bradshaw still. And I even believe they had a fullback in there. Look, 1 back doesn't do it. 1 back is great for all the little kids for fantasy stats. You gotta have 2-headed monster when it comes December and January in this country. To have a ground game in the freezing cold weather. I'm not teaching you anything you don't know. The passing and the fantasy, that's all nice for September and October, maybe even November. But once you get into December, the holiday times, and the wind starts to howl, and the snow starts to blow, and we all know the Meadowlands is known to be a very windy stadium. You gotta have a ground game. Even guys like Montana in history, some of the best passes ever, have found out that you can't throw that easily in the Meadowlands come winter time. You better got a ground game. You have to run the ball. Blue collar football. Physical defense. Physical trenches. A ground game behind an imposing dirtbag offensive line. And the Giants finally have an offensive line for the first time in a decade. The Giants have a big O-line. You got yourselves a pair of tackles that might prove to be the best in the league over the next 10 years. And we got a monster center, a dirtbag of a center. And when I say dirtbag, I mean that with respect. They know what I mean. A guy is going to get down low and dirty, bite your legs, okay? Kick you, bite you. You do whatever's necessary to move that line of scrimmage and protect your quarterback and running back. And we all got this prize, Schmitz, who we all were begging for. And Joe Shane didn't need to hear us. Because I got news for you. Joe Shane had him in his mind probably long before we did. We don't have a GM that we have to tell what to do anymore. Joe Shane is in command of this organization. That's why Mara is not even around. No one sees him. He's doing what an owner's supposed to do. Sit up in the office, sit in your suite in a nice suit, and enjoy what's coming. And what's coming, I promise you guys, the next decade is going to be a great decade of football. Maybe a decade of dominance. We're in a tough division, and we're going to have to fight. You got a corner in the 6th round, Trey Hawkins, who's stepping up and is going to start. Do you know how special that is? And he's got the body. We took Pinnock from the Jets. This kid's going to be some safety next to superstar Xavier McKinney. Banks is a 1st-round corner. Give the man time to grow. Don't expect miracles in week 1. Just because the other team in New York has one of the best corners in the NFL doesn't mean that every corner is like that. You got to give kids time to grow. And this coaching staff is showing you that they can groom players. Development. Something we haven't had since Coughlin days. Sit back and enjoy it. Get yourself a drink. Maybe a fat Cuban cigar. It's going to be a hell of a run. Not every year is going to be diamonds. But I'll tell you this. You got yourself a quarterback, a franchise quarterback. And there's no doubt about it anymore. Because he walks around with swagger and sweats of confidence. He's running the team. He runs the offense. He calls the plays. And he's putting people in places. The man walks around with a confidence we haven't seen in him. You see it this year. And don't sit there and try to tell me that you're not noticing how deadly accurate his passes are. And he's got himself a couple of toys. Waller's unguardable. Hopefully he stays healthy all year. He's big down the field. You got Hyatt, who's, my God, he's so fast. Good luck holding him. You're going to be able to spread the field. Campbell, Shepard. And believe me, Shepard's had his problems. But with a new field, I have a feeling Shepard's going to have a nice long year this year. And we all hope so because we love that kid. Let me tell you, man. And I still don't want to get into this now because we're going into an exciting season with expectations. And I expect the Giants to make a run for this division this year. Win 10 games at least, maybe 11. But I'm going to tell you right now. Week 1. The New York Football Giants are home on national TV on Sunday night for a reason. The hated, shitty Dallas Cowboys are coming to town. The stadium will be rocking and juiced up with expectations. This time, expectations from us, the Big Blue Nation. The New York Football Giants have to set the tone. There's no this, that. He could have, he should have. It was close. We gave them a good run tonight. None of that shit. For 5 years, the Cowboys has owned our ass. That shit ends week 1, Sunday night. Set the tone for the season. Because if we want to be what we feel we could be, if we want the country to start taking the Giants seriously, you win week 1 against the Cowboys at home. You don't walk off that field a loser or nothing has changed. And that's the bottom line because the Miz said so.